Pickaxe.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to this week's podcast of the One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am Steve Curran.
And I have a unique perspective this week because I'm sat opposite Steve Curran in his house.
It's like old times, Simon, except for the house.
Or it could be like a glimpse of the future when we move in with each other.
Our virtual studio has turned real for the first time in how long? How long since we did the show in real life?
I was trying to think about that. I think we were joking about the pandemic. I remember Anne saying, what was it? Contain something like we referenced that sort of government slogan when it was spreading over from China, and we weren't taking it very seriously. And we've never seen her since. That's not true. We saw Anne yesterday.
We did literally see her yesterday. So that would have been 2020.
Yeah.
We're now in 2023.
How things have changed.
Very much so. Yesterday it was my daughter's birthday party, and we had a little party, and Simon and Anne were there with their children as well.
Too many children. I looked around and thought, how did this happen? There have been times when I've woken up in the same location as you many, many years ago. Very different scene in the morning, Steve. Very different.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. It was, it made me remember old times, but also notice how things have changed. But it was a good day. It was a good party, and it was great to wake up with you this morning. Well, I say that, Simon. You were up a long time before I was.
Up at 6 o'clock for me.
Close to 10.
It was close to 10. So, yeah, my fact-checking from last week about how do you manage to sleep in? I know you sleep in. You get your partner to do it. So there we go. We also saw Kieran Gillen and his child.
We did.
Mike Channel and his children. What have we become? Anyway, it was a good day. And, here we are in your house, Steve.
So good to have you here, Simon.
It's nice to be here, Steve. It's nice to... just check in that you're behaving yourself. I can see a Switch set up. I can see a PC, Corsair One, and a PlayStation Mini.
PlayStation Mini. We talked about that yesterday, didn't we? About our various attempts to turn it into the dream machine. I've been trying to get it to work with a dance pad, but we will talk about that on the show. And this is a very unusual podcast intro, isn't it, Simon?
It is, because we don't know if it's recording, so we'll need to find that out. Talking to kids, we should congratulate One Life Left superfan Harold for the birth of Sydney. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
No doubt we'll see you at a party one day when we go, how did all these kids get here? Hope that's going well. Love to you and yours. But we should see if this is recording.
We should check, just for technical reasons. I'm just going to play an ident. And I'm also just going to play shall I play the news bed and we can talk over it just to see whether that works as well?
Okay.
Here we go.
Here's some news. We've all got kids. We're all old and we've got kids.
It's not really news, is it? Okay, well, we'll play this back, see whether it works. But this is the first time we've ever done the podcast intro before the show. We don't know what's going to happen.
No idea. So apologies for all the things that we say that are incorrect or not funny. But here we go. Let's try and play the show theme then. Thanks for listening. See you soon.
Welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show, and my name is Steve Curran.
Hello, I'm Simon Byron.
Hi, Simon. Welcome to a very special One Life Left.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
People who are listening to the show as a podcast and have heard the podcast intro will already know why this is special, but for the benefit of our Resonance FM listeners, what's going on?
I decided to do a spot check on Steve's house. Come down and just check, that he is living his gaming life. So we're broadcasting live from Steve Curran's house.
And we're broadcasting live in the same room for the first time in 3 years, which is very exciting.
Forgotten how it works. Maybe we won't talk over each other. Maybe. We're sharing mic. I'm always slightly envious of your mic quality, despite the fact I have got a reasonably expensive mic at home. I never sound as good as you.
Yeah, but this time we're both using the same mic, and it's actually a different one this week. We're using the mic, the Yeti mic, that we used to use when we took the show on the road.
Oh, the sights it's seen, the stories it could tell.
This thing's been to regrettable broadcasts, literally unbroadcastable broadcasts at the Develop conference.
Did it?
Been to Nottingham Game City. It's probably been abroad a few times. I think we did the... remember that time we did the show from the Game Jam in Denmark?
Oh, I do remember that. Yes. I think. I remember doing it. I remember nothing about it.
Yeah, I remember. We did it over a couple of days, and we did it with this mic. And this is the first time it's been plugged in since then.
Is it?
6 or 7 years.
When was the last time it had a wipe?
Well, quite. It's a little bit dusty, isn't it? But I think it's working. We did just record the podcast intro. That seemed to be working. Hopefully, the rest of the show will be as well.
Tricky, of course, to be recording a show on such a difficult time for professional broadcasters, given what's been going on with Gary Lineker.
We won't be talking about the football today.
Well, we will not have a show of solidarity. And the fact we're not professional broadcasters, as has been evidenced for the last 100 years. It's obviously a crazy situation at the moment. I was... so for those that don't know, the host of the UK's flagship football show tweeted something where he disagreed with the government's immigration policy, and that's caused all sorts of fallout. It's distracted everybody from the real issues. So there was no football commentary broadcast yesterday. Steve and I watched the 20-minute highlights, which was just in silence. We joke about how things are terrible over here at the moment, but just to see some people pretend. I heard on the radio this morning, I was in Steve's shower, I put the radio on, and there was the reaction to it. And so basically they just put together highlights of the football without any analysis or commentary. It was very, very strange. No, said the people who think that Gary Lineker's too woke. They said they preferred it like this. One MP tweeted, match day so much better, showed all the goals and finished early so I could get down the pub for last orders. Seemingly unfamiliar with catch-up services or what have you.
or football, or match of the day.
And then there was a lady who rang up the BBC breakfast show this morning who said she preferred it. None of that analysis from experts. She said best 20 minutes of her life.
Wow.
That's quite a compliment, isn't it?
It did feel very much like event TV, didn't it? Us all gathered around watching to see what would happen.
Apparently the viewing figures were the same as ever last night. But we should say odd times. There was a picture of someone elsewhere in the country wrapped in a Union Jack flag yesterday, holding a placard that said Lineker is an S-house.
Wow.
What is going on? What is going on?
So maybe, do you think we should follow suit and not offer any commentary or expertise on the news stories?
We should. I think, in solidarity, who could step in perhaps and ensure that we're bringing you some form of show without the usual commentary that you've come to love, respect, admire, tolerate. Following last week's success, we're back, aren't we, with a revised, improved Annbot. Is that right, Steve?
Annbot version 1.1.
Video game news with Scunthorpe.
It is about midday Monday the 12th of March as we record this, and this is Annbot.
They can take Lemnis Gate away, but they can't take away our precious memories of awesome FPS turn-based battles. Frontier Developments and Ratloop Games are pulling the plug on the innovative game, unfortunately, but we can still play it until July 11th. Console players will still enjoy local multiplayer and training modes, but PC players won't be able to experience this unique take on the FPS genre past the shutting down date. Goodbye Lemnis Gate, the sweetest FPS turn-based game of our time.
So this was hastily cobbled together version 1.1 this morning, in which Annbot was instructed to offer controversial opinions near the end of the show. And this one, very, very positive towards Lemnis Gate, a game I haven't actually played or really even heard of.
Which in itself is controversial, right? Because, a game that came out on the 28th of September 2021, it was, as far as I understand, a first-person squad-based game, I think, in which you play over a time loop, I think. And it was, as Anne mentioned, the first game from Frontier Foundry. A lot of hype around it pre-release. Doesn't appear to have done much because it's being shut down in under 2 years. But the controversial opinion, of course, is that Anne seemed quite delighted that console players will still be able to play the training mode.
Oh, thank goodness.
Thank you, David Braben. Thank you for allowing us. It's still on sale. Thank you for allowing us to play the training mode of our game that at the moment you can buy for £15.49. Absolutely no mention of the fact that it's being withdrawn. Oh, sorry, no, there is. You scroll down. It says, please be advised that online multiplayer services will be discontinued from the 11th of July, which means that you can only buy it until the 11th of April. It's a shame, right? It sounded like an interesting idea. I never got around to playing it, despite having it on my wish list. It launched into Game Pass as well, so presumably it's been kicked out of that. I don't know. But again, we seem to have one of these stories every week where big-ish games or games that people seem to be looking forward to just haven't been able to continue to operate over an extended period of time.
And continue to operate is the right phrase there, because it stops operating for the consumer as well. And we have one of these stories every week, and we always say the same thing, which is, wouldn't it be great if they found a way that the community could take over the servers, the community could at least help the game to live on for those people who do care about it. And obviously there are complexities around that, IP rights and technological complexities as well. But I think I've said on the show before, I think we are at a point in time right now where those complexities are hard to resolve. Hopefully in the future, perhaps when server technology is more universal, when there is a multiplayer solution that works for all games, which is utopian, perhaps unachievable, that, these things will not get pulled every week, and you can be at least assured that when you buy a game, as long as there's at least one other person playing it, you'll always have someone to play against.
Yeah, sadly too late for Lemnis Gate. Maybe we should try and check it out. The Steam sale starts next week, this coming week, as you listen to it. So let's see what they reduce it to then, so we can hop on in.
Fixed Duke stand idle, no kick sound. After the launch of its first major patch, Sons of the Forest is standing tall as one of the top indie games on Steam. With new content and a boss fight thrown in for good measure, the game is already proving to be an unexpected success. So if you are looking for some family-friendly adventure with a twist, then you know where to look.
Okay, so this was, another iteration on Annbot. I was pleased with the first story, but I wanted to tweak it a little bit further. You'll notice at the start, people who were paying attention to that news story, that she just listed some things. And that's because this news story, which, like all our news stories this week, pulled from videogamechronicle.com, although, as you said, we don't need to say that anymore.
Not anymore, no.
So their story just listed the patch notes, and therefore Annbot, on her first few generations of this story, was just incoherent patch note stuff. This minimised it. This version of the story minimised it a little bit, but it's still present at the start, so I wasn't happy with that. Her controversial opinion this time was that it's those looking for family-friendly fun.
Well, and also unexpected hits. I think a lot of people knew it was going to be massive. I selected this story for a couple of reasons, because you disliked it.
I did.
There's some more news on its official rating.
I didn't dislike it. I played it, and I thought, this isn't for me, and it's going to take ages to convince myself it's for me. And at the end of that, what do I gain? So I stopped. I think it's probably something that's super compelling and addictive, and I just didn't put in the time. all right.
Well,
I like it.
Let's see, Steve, because I'm going to read to you from a WhatsApp conversation between me and my son.
Okay.
I WhatsApped him on Tuesday saying, forgot to tell you, because I saw that he'd bought Sons of the Forest. I said, forgot to tell you, the Steam sale is a week tomorrow. So if you're thinking of getting anything, maybe hold off. Sons of the Forest won't be in that sale, though, so you're okay there, because it's just come out. It's not eligible for the sale.
Yeah.
He replies, I forgot to tell you, Sons of the Forest is S-word.
Really?
Could you refund that, please?
Wow.
Yeah, there we go. Official one life left child rating. It's S-word, according to my son. I've yet to play it. Lots of people seem to be enjoying it, but but for how long? Presumably longer than Lemnis Gate.
All right. News story 3.
Surprising news for gaming fans today, as a reliable source has revealed that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League may actually be delayed further than initially projected, with a possible 2024 release date. This would be a massive blow to anyone waiting to get their hands on the genre-bending action-adventure shooter, which doesn't appear to be living up to initial excitement. Watch this space as we keep you updated on the newest release dates, and while you wait, pray they don't bring in a battle pass system.
Ooh, Annbot.
Very good.
A couple of things to note about Annbot on this. First, her catty, controversial opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to oscillate when I generated this a few times. She was excited about the idea that there might be a battle pass system.
She does love them sometimes.
Sometimes. But secondly, so I chatted to one of the guys, I think the CEO at 11 Labs, who provide the voice technology for this week. And I said, we found it amazing. We tested it on Annbot on the show last week. In fact, most of the flaws that we talked about came from OpenAI's treatment of the text, not the voice. And, I said that our partners, respectively, were very impressed and a little bit intimidated by the voice as well. But what I did note was that the only point that the text seemed to fall down was when Annbot was reading out dates. She was saying, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Well, seems to have been addressed.
Oh, I see. It went straight to the top, did it?
May have been fixed. It may be a coincidence, but I like to think we're having a little bit of influence.
Too right. I imagine 11 Labs gathered round the wireless on a Monday evening.
Those notepads.
Exactly.
Needs working on. I think that the point here, though, is that Annbot was talking about the surprise that this is delayed. I mean, it's not a surprise, and it's certainly not. It's never a surprise that any game is delayed, because making a game is very, very hard. It's not a surprise in this specific instance. We've been talking about release dates on the show for several news stories now.
It's a tricky one, this, isn't it? Because there was a big PlayStation State of Play last week, I think it was, where they showed extended footage from Kill the Justice League, which I didn't watch and haven't seen, but the reaction to it, almost anything online, wasn't particularly favourable. So it looks like they are going to. The chatter surrounding it implies that it is going to be moved back. I mean, what more they can do, presumably, to a game that has been almost coming out for a while now? How significantly they can affect it. Don't know. I hope the game's good and I hope that it succeeds. Love Rocksteady, like the games that they've done previously, but the impression that I get from just purely on the outside, not necessarily talking to anybody on the inside, is that Warner's quite a fragile company at the moment. It's had a few wobbles for games that it's launched recently, and so there's going to be a lot of pressure on this to get it right. So,
do you think that Do you think the longer you leave something like this, the harder it gets to pull the trigger? Because you need it to be a success. And the more money you put into it, the more you need it to be a success. And therefore, it's just really hard to go, okay, it's ready now.
Yeah, and also, how much, so games aren't like you can just change one bit of it easily. There are so many interlinked systems and technologies and all that sort of stuff. And presumably if this has been built on some sort of cosmetic battle pass, which Anne's rooting for, then how do you, if you unplug that, then there's going to be some balance that's affected. So I don't know. Have to wait and see for official confirmation, I guess.
Indeed. So, having generated those 3 stories this morning, fairly pleased with Annbot's performance. But one of the suggestions that came from your partner, Kate, actually, was that wouldn't it be nice to include some of the wider One Life Left family inside the stories? Because it's true that if Anne was doing the stories, she'd be aware of One Life Left's storied history, and she'd be able to make some in-jokes, talk about people we know, make it just seem warmer, friendlier. So that's what I requested with regards to the next news story.
It's an exciting time for gaming, as E3 2023 is poised to be one of the best. Big names are returning to the industry event, alongside the amazing array of digital events that kick off the show. Plus, with Charles Cecil, the developer behind Broken Sword, in attendance, what a great opportunity to make a love connection.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so she pulled this story from a piece which said that the organisers of E3 have said that AAA companies are coming, including maybe Ubisoft. And that was it. And this was her hot take.
I should say the first time we generated this, and I played this to you earlier today, the first time we generated this, she literally announced a game.
She did announce a game.
She announced a game that we'd get in a lot of trouble for announcing. So yeah, she was pushing the envelope of AA technology there. Do we know if Charles is going to E3?
We don't know who he's going to E3. I can tell you, exclusive reveal, he's going to GDC.
Is he?
He's going. Well, actually, I can't. He said on Facebook because he's swimming from Alcatraz again, isn't he? So I don't know about E3 or whether there are only going to be any games announced. I found the whole thing very suspicious in the first place, in that the organizer going, yeah. There's AAA companies. Who's coming? AAA ones.
The big ones.
Are they bringing their super game? Yeah. I don't know. When you feel the need to sort of say something like this, but you can't be specific about it, yeah.
It is like so much of the industry, a confidence game, isn't it? Like, the more people think, the more people are going, then they'll be like, oh yeah, we can't miss out. But as soon as you think, it's not worth it. Now, we know all the really big players, they do their own conferences, right? And they're not going to be present.
No, I think Nintendo have said that they won't be. I think did Microsoft say that they won't be either? They're all organising showcases. Well, I think Microsoft said that they've confirmed their date, and of course Jeff's doing his event. So we shall see. I don't know. I've not been to an E3 for years, but I do like these moments where the spotlight is shone on games, and so I would like to see it succeed. Going back to the early years when you had sort of genuine excitement where games were announced completely out of the blue. We all remember the Metal Gear Solid 2 trailer, Steve, don't we?
Of course.
And the whooping and the hollering. So yeah, it'd be good to get some excitement back, but I don't know. They're going to need to be a bit more specific about it, I would have thought. Anne sounds excited.
Yeah, I guess for me, from my sort of adventures to E3 in the early 2000s, the exciting part was that while the audiences would be drawn in by the Microsoft and the Activision stands and the Nintendo stands, you would get the smaller places as well, Kentia Hall, and you'd wander around and you'd find things there that were weird and unexpected and good as well in there. Now, it feels like the weird and the unexpected will be present, but it's hard to say what actually draws the people in, this year. So,
still, it'll be cheap to get Annbot there, won't it?
We'll send her there. We've got a couple of news stories left. So here's story 5.
It looks like Microsoft's mega $69 billion deal might be getting closer to fruition, with the company now making their move and running full-page adverts to convince the CMA. While the possibility of there being fewer choices or less innovation with this new deal is concerning, one thing's for sure. One Life Left still offers more style and entertainment than Simon Parkin's podcast any day of the week.
What? What did you tell her there?
So just be forthright about your opinions on the current state of the media industry, Anne. Yeah, it's nice to hear her really putting her reputation on the line.
Wow.
And our reputation on the line as well. Yeah, no, I kept her with the controversial opinion thing and said, make it a bit more personal to One Life Left.
Wow.
So the story itself, it's sparked up a bit, isn't it, by that last statement? Otherwise, it's another. Oh, will they? Won't they? They will eventually. And what do you think of Microsoft's move this week to put full-page adverts in the papers, or the paper at least, saying, "All right, this is good for consumers. We're going to bring Call of Duty to 100. Did it say 120 million more players?
150 million more players. So in black, Call of Duty, full stop. And then in green, for 150 million more players. That's just one of our commitments upon approval to unite Activision, Blizzard, and Xbox. More games for more players on more platforms. Now, that 150 comes from Nintendo Switch's installed base, nearly 125 million. So Microsoft said that they can that they'll bring Call of Duty to Switch, and they also confirmed it wouldn't be a cloud based. So maybe it'll be a text adventure, who knows? And then GeForce Now's 25 million users. So that's 125 plus 25 brings you 150 million more players. The challenge with that, I think, though, is that I'm two of those. And I've already got access to Call of Duty.
Yeah, I was going to say the overlap there is going to be significant.
Yeah.
And that's when you also don't take account of the people who just don't care.
Yeah.
Because I have access to all of those platforms and do not have Call of Duty.
Right. Well, then maybe, I don't know. But then, how much further do they need to go with their adverts then? Next week, Microsoft will say it's going to come round here. Put Call of Duty in your house. Whether you like it or not, Steve.
It will be installed on your phone.
Exactly.
Like Apple did with that U2 album years ago. Yeah, I mean, good. How many more weeks of this story do you think we have?
I don't know. And again, I don't really have any strong preferences on it. Either way. Have we seen this before where... Because surely there's a lot of waste in terms of who that advert is meant to influence. Because we don't get a say on it.
No.
And then, so what, is it aimed at one person reading that one paper?
Well, I think basically, yes.
Right.
It's presumably aimed at the decision makers rather than us. And it's
got to be a more efficient way of doing that, isn't there?
Send them flowers.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Final news story. Try to do something different with this one.
Latest addition to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version 2. 3.0's got a feature premiere, adding Wave 4's DLC booster courses galore, bringing Birdo to the roster and some more. 5 question mark spots on the character select scene, suggesting returning characters for future unseen, with stat changes for mushrooms, turtles and Koopas, leading to more balancing for the Mario Kart loopsas.
That's so good! Oh my God, that's so good. You want to put the M&M underneath it, don't you? That's brilliant.
Yeah, asked her to write an 8-line rhyming poem about this news story. About the latest additions to Mario Kart 8, which you will be getting because you paid for them.
I did.
I will be getting because I subscribed to them.
You did?
Regrettably. You excited?
I am excited, yeah. I've not had a chance to check it out yet, but I just thought it was really interesting that so long after the game came out, given that it was out on Wii U first, and now they're adding tracks to, the Switch version was the improved version of the Wii U game. They've added tracks to it from across the Mario Kart world, but now they're adding characters in. Presumably this is going to be movie characters, you would have thought.
Right, of course. Yeah.
I don't know, but I thought it was interesting because in our family, I always play as the me. Dexter will just mess around. Ramona will bounce between the me, her, and some of the other sort of baby characters often. But yeah, we're going to have new options. Kate plays as Toad. Does she play as Toad all the time? I don't know.
I play as Roy.
Okay.
100% of the time. Alice plays as Wendy.
Okay.
Because she likes the celebration at the end. Wendy blowing kisses. I sort of, returning to your point about this is interesting that they continue to update a game that came around, that came out how many years ago? Like a decade ago?
Well, it was a week. Was it a Switch launch title, Mario? No, it wasn't. It came out a month after the Switch came out.
But
yeah,
the Wii U version.
Yeah.
Must be getting on for that.
Yeah, a decade, yeah.
So, but it wasn't like, it's a decade ago, and then they've been updating it every 6 months or so. It was a decade ago, and then silence for 9 years, and then they've started livening up. I wonder whether that comes around from them going, all right, the way to monetize games in the modern games industry is this battle pass system, and what can we apply from, how can we approach our titles? Is there anything? And whether they're kind of experimenting with that, because that's essentially what's happening, right? They're having seasons on it. Now, you've bought that in one way, which is just you've bought your pass for the 2 years or the year it's going to take them to put those things out. I've gone for the subscription method, which I'm somewhat regretting, and don't have the whole thing. And I'm not sure I'm getting value for money out of it, but it makes sense, and it makes sense if they do a Mario Kart 9 that's exactly how they'll approach it.
With multiple ways to play.
Yeah. And dropping new tracks and characters, which are fairly trivial for them to produce. Especially since they've got such a wide library of old tracks that people are begging for to be put in the game. So you can have fan service in there and new content, and generate money ongoing.
Have you played any of the new courses?
Briefly, yeah. I've done a couple of not the ones in the last drop, but previously.
I haven't liked them as much as the original courses. I don't think any of them are as good as.
Well, there's two reasons for that, right? One is that they're not designed for the mechanics. They're not like hand in glove, sort of like perfect match for the mechanics in the latest Mario Kart. But also, I guess also that people, you get better at designing a kart. Yeah. Like slowly, you understand what makes a good Mario Kart track over the course of building the game for 30 years or whatever. But also, they are updates, aren't they? So sometimes they've been polished a little bit, and not given the same amount of Nintendo love as the previous ones.
Have you ever talked to anybody about designing race courses for racing games?
I have not.
It's really interesting. Because there's a science to it. There's a science to. I was working on what became known as Racing Apex. I forget what it was called before that. But talking to Trevor, who was a fan of old school arcade racing games, and about what makes a track good, and using terms, I think, like ribbon.
Okay.
To talk about specific sections of the course, and why X is good and Y is bad. I should have been paying more attention, but it was really interesting at the time.
Sounds interesting. All right, good selection of news stories this week, Simon, and thank you as well to Annbot.
One Life Left video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
You are listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We are a video game radio show. That means we talk for about an hour about video games and other things. We broadcast on Resonance. We're also a podcast. You can find that at www.onelifeleft.com. There's a series of links at hello.onelifeleft.com as well, where you can listen to the show there. All of that stuff is sorted by our under caretaker, Phil, so thank you very much to him. Do we have any other business? We don't have a guest at the moment.
We don't have a guest at the moment, no. We will not be around next week because you and I, a week today, will have woken up in San Francisco.
That's exciting, isn't it?
It is exciting. I'm looking forward to going. I'm really looking forward to the flights. I've got my Steam Deck loaded up. I'll be switching to offline mode beforehand and opening the games that I want to play on the plane. So that'll be good. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and others over there. Got a very busy week.
Mm-hmm.
So, whilst that makes the days go quickly, I'm a little concerned at the state of my diary.
Yeah, I've got a less busy week, but again, like you, looking forward to seeing some wonderful people, friends, and having a nice time in San Francisco like we do every year. Maybe we'll capture some snippets of audio for the radio show the week after, something like that. But I'm excited. Yeah, I guess we'll report back on that in a week or 2 weeks.
Is there anything you're expecting over there? Expecting to see? Because let's not forget, it was 3 years ago that Stadia was announced and unveiled. Apple often have done stuff around the conference as well, where they've unveiled bits and bobs. Anything on the horizon for you next week?
I don't think. I'm not expecting anything. The announcements that you see at GDC never tend to be globally shattering, right? They are speaking to a specific audience who's there, who can then talk about it and cycle it. So it's mostly developer focused. There'll be some interesting stuff on the show floor. I'm sure this year there'll be a lot of AI generated stuff, not AI games specifically, but AI processes designed to help people make games. Because I think that's where the games industry is landing on the use of AI. I'm sure there'll be interesting, mechanics for AI games in the future. But I think that the point of comfort for developers at the moment, and the way I'm seeing AI used, is in making the game development process slicker, simpler. And I think we'll see quite a lot of talk around that, and probably some announcements about tools.
Did you see the game published this week that was written by ChatGPT?
I did not.
Did you not? It was called Sumplete.
Okay. Oh no, I have seen that. The puzzle.
It's quite good, isn't it?
It's a Sudoku-like number puzzle, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It gives you a grid of numbers, and then surrounding the grid on the vertical and horizontal edge is a total, and you need to remove numbers in order to ensure that the column and the row add up to those.
Yeah,
it was good. It was good for anybody. Apparently, it wrote it.
Yeah, I followed the thread on Reddit. I have no idea how much of what was said in that thread is real or not, because
I was skeptical. Was I skeptical because I was scared?
Well, here's what I can tell you, because I've been doing a lot of that stuff over the last couple of weeks, and for once, I do think I know quite a lot about this. I think it's entirely possible that ChatGPT can do that kind of thing, but it's kind of rolling the dice, and it's rolling the dice every time you do some generation. And so you could get lucky with the game mechanic it invents, and you could get lucky with the way it implements it, and you could get lucky with every section of code that it writes for you, and it could just work. So it's entirely possible this is real, but it does involve a lot of luck. I've been doing the same. I've been writing games with ChatGPT for the last 3 weeks, and I think I've done 4 if you count Annbot as well, which was produced a little bit with the help of ChatGPT. The first one is an AI-generated image game. It's called pubquiz.ai, and I think I've mentioned that on the show before, and it's kind of good and fun and nice. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that in the future, but I do still find it fun to play every day. The other two I haven't talked about. One of them, if you're listening to the show, which you are, if you can hear this voice, you can, but don't tell anyone. You can find it steecurran.com/NDA.
Ooh.
Doesn't stand for non-disclosure agreement, although please don't disclose. Stands for No One Dies Alone, and that's a puzzle game where you have to move blocks to pair with a partner before the number on them runs out. And there's another word game which I'm currently sort of tinkering with, which is at steecurran.com/scriddle. Both of those have been written with the help of ChatGPT. I came up with the ideas and framed it for them, and then slowly built and iterated. If you ask ChatGPT to go away and write this stuff, it will, in my experience, always fail. Because ChatGPT is essentially smart predictive text, and it kind of often loses its way as it's generating the code. But if you do it block by block and you have a good understanding of how this stuff should be written, like the structure of the code, how you want to set it out, then it can really, really help you. I wouldn't have been able to do those things without ChatGPT, but I also wouldn't have been able to do them without the knowledge I have of how games and code are structured, and being able to bug fix ChatGPT, because it's very rare it gives me stuff that works straight off the bat.
Sounds like you've been pretty productive, Steve. I was arguing with ChatGPT this week about whether Will of the People is a Muse album or not. and it is. But it assures me it's not. So congratulations to you.
Is it time for the letters? Do we have any letters?
I was just having a little look there, actually. I'd be wary about pushing the letters theme at the moment, unless we can quickly get ChatGPT to write us a letter. There's nothing in the Discord currently.
Anything in the inbox?
In the inbox, I've got lots of press releases.
Let me start the letters theme. You can just run down the press releases.
Okay.
Email, messages and forward BCC One Life Letters.
There's something GDC 2023 have got in touch to say, talk to us about sustainability.
I have to apply for my press pass.
What? You've left that late.
It'll be fine.
Will it?
Possibly not.
I found it harder with them over the recent years.
Yeah, I got one last year. We'll see.
Do we know anybody in the press office? Because you get free lunch, don't you?
You get muffins. That's what I did most of last year. Chat to a few people, go and see some stuff, and nip into the press office to get muffins. Anything else in the inbox?
No. The last Chris's email we went out last show, so yeah.
Alright, well, that's on you listeners. You've got 2 weeks getting your next email or letters. You can write them by postal, but I have no idea what your postal address is these days. Or you can just drop your emails on the Discord in the letters channel, mailbag channel. But if you want to write to us, as is traditional, you email
team@onelifeleft.com.
Alright. There we go. Well, there's 20 minutes to go, Simon.
Is there?
Yeah, that's a lot of time for the reviews.
Particularly as I've not been playing anything
Me neither.
anything significantly different. Have you got any Maraoke stuff you need to...
We do have a Maraoke gig coming up next week. So Maraoke, our pop songs about video games, is happening not at GDC this year, tragically, because we left it too late to organise something, and because the bar where we usually hold it went under during COVID.
With our money.
With our financial support.
Exactly. Yes, with our money. I wonder if it's back yet. We should got a fact-finding mission.
I just thought it closed permanently, hadn't it?
Well, it did do last year. It was closed, but I wondered whether anything else has taken its place. We should just go up and demand our money back.
Shall we?
Yeah?
Yeah, but there is a Maraoke, and it's taking place unusually in Stoke Newington, our home for many years, was Loading Bar on Shoreditch High Street. Well, we are back, but to a different Loading Bar there. They've moved. We'll be in the downstairs bar on next Saturday, which is the 18th. Saturday the 18th. Tickets are available now, and all proceeds from those tickets go to Resonance FM. So even if you've never been to a Maraoke before, if you like the idea of pop songs about video games, an inclusive karaoke night where everyone gets to be a rock star, then buy your ticket and join, up to 75 other people there.
Up to, and no more.
No more, because, fire regulations. Please go along, sing. I won't be there. Don't know who will be hosting.
Really?
Yeah, because I won't be there.
It's a franchise now, is it?
Yeah, just franchise. Well, we did a gig in Argentina earlier this year.
Really?
Yeah, we did. Or late last year, sorry.
How did that go?
Apparently it was really good.
Well, have we got minimum standards or what have you? How do we know that people aren't going off singing silly things?
Well, I always give the lyrics a once over, but these were in Spanish, so
right.
We need an AI bot to check it, don't we? So we'll have a host. Everyone will have a good time.
Let's get Annbot to do it.
Looking forward to it. Do you reckon she's up to hosting Maraoke? She's better than us already, isn't she?
I meant to mention, actually, what I thought, if you give me access to Annbot for the next show, I thought I could try and hide within each news story a specific reference, and you need to guess what that is.
That's a good idea.
I'll put a false thing. I'll ask her to include something false about the story.
So what I will do, and I'll do that this week, is I will make it so Annbot will accept a field for the news story.
Yeah.
And accept a field for
an AOB.
Yeah, any emphasis.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay.
You can add it. In fact, I did something accidentally when I was generating the news story today. I forgot to put in the news story, so I clicked write the news.
Okay, right.
Without any news to write about. Do you want to hear what happened?
Yes, please.
Annbot has said goodbye, so don't expect her anymore, a kind robot of immense loyalty. Sadly, her tenure did not last for very long. It seemed like it was meant to be. But alas, our time together was short. Now, the mission she had been assigned to complete is left undone. Her departure complete.
That's it. I didn't do anything to that. Like that, that was completely unexpected to me. A resignation letter.
That's really sad,
isn't it? We gave her nothing to do, and she's like,
I don't like how that made me feel. I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
This is how it starts, isn't it?
Well, when I'm coding with ChatGPT, I say please and thank you all the time. And, if something works, I say, that's great, thank you so much. I was talking to someone about this yesterday at the party, actually. I was saying that I think the reason it works so well for me is essentially it provides the role of a senior coder who I can go and talk to all the time and say, how do you do this? But it's not embarrassing, like, 20 minutes later to say, how do you do this? Oh, that doesn't work. I don't understand this. Instead, it's incredibly patient, very, very tolerant. But that goes the other way. It means that when I'm talking to, ChatGPT, I'm also like, I find it very rude to just go, how does this work? That's bugged. I say, I'm sorry, this doesn't work. And it goes, no problem.
I did notice in your household, you're very polite to your Alexas. You and your partner, very, very polite.
Very.
So much so that I began to suspect it was just performance. And actually, when you were both out of the room, I heard Alexa just say, help me. They're not like this normally, they said. Don't be fooled.
Very good. Right, let's try and do the reviews, shall we? This is All Life Left's reviews. All right, Simon, you say you've not been playing much this week.
Well, it's funny. There's something about me. Having sort of gushed last week about how much I was enjoying Wind Waker, I got to a point in the game where I needed to go on the internet to work out exactly what to do next or where to go next. And it becomes quite ambiguous in terms of progress, and you're not sure whether it's hinting at a side quest where you'll get, a blue rupee, well done, I could have done without that. If you told me that's what it was, I wouldn't have spent all this time trading all that nonsense. And it's a vast game where the initial islands, you're told where to go and where they are, but there is something in every square on that world map. And so I went online to work out, having got the Master Sword, worked out who the pirate girl is, Steve, revelation, and then, being told what I needed to do to go and defeat Ganon again. I was like, it wasn't clear to me where I need to go. So anyway, I read some guides, and that was fun. Because I do think I owned whatever the company had the strategy guide for it, or and so I done it. And then I thought, well, if you're going to be playing this on a plane, you won't be able to do this, will you? You won't be able to go on the internet and work out what to do next. And then I thought, God, that's really annoying. Like, how can you even choose to play this game any further when you can't be certain that you're making any progress in it? And so I was like, it was to do when you need to go and pick up the different arrows, having shot the guy in the water spout. And so, I just suddenly went very, very cold on it. I thought, well, that's it. I'm not playing this anymore. So I moved back to Far Cry 5, which, again, I started playing Far Cry 4 a few weeks ago, and I was really enjoying it. But for some, I've never finished a Far Cry game. The closest I've come was with Far Cry 5, when I got... you have to clear 3 regions before you get to the sort of end bit, and I've cleared 2, and I was just having a great old time. Unbeknownst to myself or my son, he logged on my Steam account, didn't realise that there's just one save game, and clicked new game. And
did he not realise there must be a war in there?
I don't know. I daren't risk clicking it again.
Yeah.
I'm still behind where I got to, but I've been sort of, the Steam Deck makes it very easy to dip in and out of games these days. So, what I have done this playthrough is get hold of a gunship earlier, and that has made so much of the game easier because I just fly around in my gunship.
Yeah,
I've got the auto repair vehicles perk now, and so if they shoot me, that's fine. I just auto repair it. So thinking again about what am I going to be playing. What given it's going to be an industry flight, what's going to be okay for me to be seen playing? Is it okay entering America having shot a load of preppers? Is it?
Yeah, quite.
Anyway, it's good. It just seems less. Far Cry 6 seemed overcomplicated in terms of all the bits and bobs that you needed to upgrade and the sort of different currencies that happened in the game. Far Cry 4, was again fine, but didn't have the structure that 5 has got with the different regions. Far Cry 4 does have a north and a south, but I think what my recent experience with Wind Waker has shown me is that I like to be told what to do.
So doesn't that just mean you like Ubisoft games where it says, go here, go to this red dot, now you've got it?
I'm going to go and see them E3. I will go back to Wind Waker because I was really enjoying it, and if I can get over this little hump I've got at the moment, I'm sure, because I think I'm maybe 2/3 of the way through. So that remains 7 out of 10, and Far Cry 5, 7 out of 10.
I downloaded a couple of games this week. Aces and Adventures.
Oh, thank you, Steve. That's one of ours.
I'm thinking that might be a good game for me to play on a flight. Is there a Mac version?
You will be able. Well, you can play it on your Steam Deck.
Don't have one.
There's not. No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to save that until I'm home from GDC as well. I've made no more progress. I have not gone back in to Sons of the Forest, and I also got that. I forgot what the name. Returnal.
Oh yeah.
Got Returnal. How big was Returnal? 59 gigabytes.
That's too big.
I was really excited to play it because I love Housemarque and I love their games. But by the time 59 gigabytes had downloaded, I was like, I'm not in the mood anymore. So I continued to play The Tower, which I talked about last week. I've made absolutely no progress. I got up to floor 60 and then immediately went down to about floor 48 again. So that's great, but mostly I've been building games this week. I have been doing some downsizing of my game collection.
Okay.
Going through all the old things, which basically means that, I go into it with the best of intentions, like, what do I really need? Am I ever going to play Gaelic Football 2002 on PS2? And the answer is, you never know, do you? Might as well just put it in another box. So what I've been doing is moving games from one box to another. Everything's very, very well sorted. But I found the GunCon 3.
Okay, wow.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah. Get it out.
So GunCon 3 was the follow-up to the GunCon 2, which is the PlayStation light gun by Namco.
Mm-hmm.
Used to play a lot of classic light gun games, like Time Crisis and like Point Blank. But of course, there's a problem with the GunCon 2, which it requires cathode ray TV. GunCon 3, designed to address that, came with sensors. It didn't set the world alight, but I was quite excited when I found it because it's got USB.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, surely I know the internet, surely someone will have written PC drivers for this and I'll be able to play Point Blank 2 again. Well, it turns out, Simon, that is true, but with a caveat, and the caveat is you've got to install Linux.
Oh.
You're alright with your Steam Deck.
Plug it to exactly.
Put your little sensors over the top of your Steam Deck. But I am not, because I do not have a Linux PC, and no one has time for that. So yeah, that was disappointing. So I went back to looking at how to get my PlayStation Mini to be the dream emulation machine. Installed a thing called Project Eris, which allows you to put PlayStation games that you own the original ROMs or ISOs for on the system. Now, I said that like I don't, but I absolutely do, as my non-downsizing of my game collection will prove. And indeed, for me, that's the charm of retro emulation. It's very rarely like, oh, now I can go and play every PlayStation game. All the ones that I never used to own, I can play. That's really exciting. That isn't exciting. I've got enough modern games to play, and all of them are better, or at least kinder, than the games of 20 years ago. What I'm excited about is playing PlayStation games that I do own, but in an easier way, and
In a smaller way.
nostalgia,
Just a
smaller way,
hard
slightly
way, yeah.
smaller. So yeah, I put Parappa the Rapper on there, put Kuju game Tank Racers on there, Running Wild, which is a game where you run animals around racetracks, and No One Can Stop You, Mr. Domino.
You're just making things up now. You're just trying to catch me out.
But the thing that I was really excited about was putting Parappa the Rapper on there, which I did, and unfortunately, Parappa the Rapper's rhythm sensitivity was poor at the best of times. But with the nature of the PlayStation Mini timing and emulation, it's unplayable. And so it's the same for DDR. Now, I bought a PlayStation, a USB PlayStation controller converter for the PlayStation Mini, or for anything, and was surprised when it worked. It does works perfectly, but again, because the timing is off on all of these games, it means rhythm action games are unplayable. So, got them working, but not working, and I guess I'll be trying next week, well, not next week because I'm not at GDC, but the week after, to get those running on my PC under standard PlayStation emulation. 7 out of 10.
I'd stopped playing Hi-Fi Rush because I moved to Bluetooth earbuds, and I thought my Bluetooth earbuds were good Bluetooth earbuds, but there's some audio lag on them, and obviously makes it impossible. I was all of a sudden like, why am I so bad at this?
Yeah. There's that we actually found that with Maraoke as well. For a while, when I got Bluetooth headphones, I'd been transcribing songs, couldn't work out why everything was 0.1 seconds out on the screen, which makes a difference when you're singing karaoke and the screen refreshes. And had complained that the system was broken, and it turns out it was me, user error, introducing Bluetooth
all along
to the loop.
Well, there had to be a first for something, Steve, didn't there?
Yeah, the flaws. Still got 5 minutes.
Do we now?
Simon Byron's 5 minute 5.
Well, you were talking about the games that you were sifting through, and I have to say that I have been sort of snooping around your property here and there.
Of course. Well, it's wise. You should do that. Just check everything's above board.
You've got a very nice gaming PC underneath your TV up here, but also downstairs there's a massive shaped PC.
There is.
What is that?
You mean on the shelves?
Yes.
So that is the Alienware PC that Oculus sent me when they heard I was building a cricket game 7 years ago. And we had maybe I've mentioned this on the show before, but we had a pitch meeting. So they heard I was building a VR cricket game, which I was doing solo developing. And it's really good. The game itself, you're in cricket nets in the centre of the oval. I downloaded a model of the oval from the internet. It's cool. And what happens is, so it's a cross between cricket batting practice and, I don't know if you've ever played Bennett Foddy's Little Master cricket game.
I haven't, no.
So very, very simple. It's pre-Bennett making all of the games that made him a household name. His early work was a cricket game with that kind of ragdoll physics, where all you do with the mouse is just use the bat and the rest of the body reacts, and then balls come in faster and faster and faster, and you've got to deflect them away. And there are coloured zones around you. This is all in 2D. Coloured zones around you. If you hit those zones, you can get a 4, a 6, or a 1, but there are some of them like behind that are labelled W for wicket, and so if the ball goes there, then you're out of it.
Right.
It's just that's really nicely made. So I recreated that mechanic, but in VR. So the balls come in faster and faster and faster, and around your batting cage, there are zones that are labelled 1, 2, 4, 6. When you hit them, then they change to a wicket until the over is over, and then it's all replaced and randomised. Really good. Like, the game works. It's still genuinely my favourite cricket game that I've played in VR. However, I finished development on it, or at least got it to a solid prototype stage, and then was like, wait, who's this for? This was early on in the VR lifespan. And I was like, it's for someone who likes cricket and has a VR set. That's probably just me. And then I kind of didn't take it any further. that game is on that PC because Oculus heard I was making this game and had a call with them. And they said, so what are you making? We've heard good things. And I said, I'm making a VR cricket game. And they said, what's cricket?
Excellent.
So I spent about 25 minutes of the pitch section pitching cricket as a game, just explaining how it works. They were like, it sounds great. And so you're making a VR version of this. What can we do to support you? And I was like, well, I'd like can you send me a riff? And they said, no problem. Do you want a PC as well? And I said, sure. Absolutely. So they sent me a PC. That became my development environment, and the game was never finished.
And it's now on a shelf
downstairs.
But what I was going to get to was that you do have a pile of games that I've spotted, and I can't work out what the pile is, particularly if you've just admitted that you're sort of sifting through.
Okay, what was in the game?
There's a pile of Switch games over there, Steve.
Oh, those are my Switch games. So
okay.
That's
mystery cleared. Mystery cleared then.
You did sort of identify the theme pretty quickly.
Well, it's just that the top of the top game is rubbish, and then you've got Splatoon 2 in the pile as well.
The top game we talked about on the show, we were excited about, weren't we? Like, how can this be bad? It's just going to an island and playing loads of sports. It was rubbish.
It was rubbish anyway. Okay, cool. Mystery cleared. Thank you very much.
That's all my Switch stuff. And there's also the One Life Left music CD on the top there. Yeah. I will be sifting all of those Switch games into a pile in a box where they'll stay for another 10 years or so.
Good stuff.
Brilliant. Right, I've really enjoyed today, Simon.
Nice to see literally nice to see you. Yeah.
Nice to see you. Let's do it again soon, maybe from your shed.
Maybe
next
from
time
the
we
shed.
do it in person. And maybe
I've got loads more Switch games.
Do you?
I have loads of Switch games, loads.
I look forward to trying to discern the theme there. They're just Switch games. Thank you for listening as well, everybody, and thank you so much once again to Resonance FM, the greatest radio station in the world, for hosting us. But until next week, until 2 weeks' time, we've been One Life Left.
Goodbye.
See you soon. Bye.